Exactly 1 week ago, it was announced that Willian would be joining Arsenal on a 3-year deal. The free transfer arrival of the Brazilian has started a fierce debate amongst the Arsenal fan base. Willian is the third Arsenal signing who happens to be a client of Kia Gorabchkin, leading to questions as to whether the London club are truly being run by the super agent. Furthermore, a 3-year deal for a player who just turned 32 feels excessive. However, although some of the criticism related to the deal is entirely understandable, the fanbase forgets that Willian is a player with genuine quality. This is someone who has won 6 league titles, 7 domestic cups, and twice lifted European trophies throughout his career. In his 7 years at Chelsea, he won 5 major trophies and finished with a record of 63 goals and 65 assists. Although the numbers don't scream superstar, they do underline consistency. Most of all, unlike David Luiz a year ago, this was a player Chelsea desperately wanted to keep. This summer was not the first time Arsenal tried to sign Willian. In fact, Arsenal had approached the Brazilian a few years before he first came to Europe in 2007. At the time, Willian was playing for Corinthians, which is where he first got to know David Luiz. Both Brazilians played together when they were young in the Sao Paulo Academy. A few years later, Willian ended up moving to the Corinthians Academy, whereas Luiz would stay on at Sao Paulo. However, they would eventually both reunite later in the Brazilian under-17 team. Arsenal's attempts to sign Willian were eventually blocked by his inability to qualify as an EU national. Willian ended up staying at Corinthians until he moved to Ukraine in 2007 to join Shakhtar Donetsk. Willian was widely successful in Ukraine, winning 4 league titles, 3 domestic cups, and the Europa League in 2009. Willian had a brief stint in Russia until he began to attract interest from a number of Premier League clubs. At the time, the 3 English clubs after Willian were Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham. The appeal of living in London was massive for Willian, and he got as far as undergoing a medical at Spurs before Chelsea stepped in. It was none other than David Luiz, Willian's childhood friend, who called the winger and convinced him to move to Chelsea. At the time, Jose Mourinho was in charge at Chelsea, and Willian quickly learnt the tactical discipline Mourinho required of him. By the end of Mourinho's stint at Chelsea, he had become a big fan of the Brazilian winger. So much so that Mourinho would even try to bring Willian to Manchester when the Portuguese manager joined United a few years later. Mourinho's plan to bring Willian to United was destined to fail from the get-go. Willian quickly grew to love life in London. He had a close circle of friends at Chelsea, including compatriots Oscar, Ramirez, Diego Costa, and of course, David Luiz. His 2 daughters have grown up in the capital, where Willian and his wife have founded their own digital branding agency. Moreover, both Willian and Luiz would go on to invest in an Italian restaurant in West London. London has become the Brazilian's home, and when his contract ran out at the end of this season, Willian had a big decision to make. He had offers from Chelsea, Barcelona, and Arsenal to consider, but it was Arsenal's proposal that suited his preferences: the opportunity to remain in London on a 3-year deal. Chelsea only offered 2, and although Barcelona had offered a higher salary, Willian was content to stay in London. Moreover, he was completely convinced by the vision presented by both Arteta and Edu. Most concern amongst Arsenal fans relates to the length of the contract the club gave Willian. Willian just turned 32, and while he will arrive at Arsenal as a Champions League caliber player, it will be difficult to maintain that level till he's 35. Arteta, however, has backed the Willian deal from the beginning. The Spaniard understands and values the importance of experience. Arteta believes the club have added someone who can bring a winning mentality to their squad, as well as acting as a mentor for their younger players. Furthermore, Willian is a versatile player. Although he spent the majority of his time at Chelsea deployed outright, he is also capable of operating from the left or even through the centre. It is rumoured that Arteta sees Willian as a potential number 10, a position Arsenal have struggled to fill in recent times. In the end, Willian's time at Arsenal will not be judged on his age or who his agent is. His time at Arsenal will be measured by the performances he produces. Only time will tell whether this proves to be a good deal for Arsenal. While both Arteta and Edu seem confident they found the perfect fit for the club, in the end, Willian will have to prove himself. Yes, the Brazilian is experienced, and yes, he's got the quality to be a very good player for the club. But first, he has to prove himself to the Arsenal faithful. something Arteta believes he'll do.